Hi everyone, so what is the purpose and proper use of a tone knob on the guitar? I thought it was about time to talk about some fundamental guitar gear stuff that is often overlooked when learning guitar. You may be wondering what that other knob on your guitar is for. You know, the one that says tone on it? Well, mine doesn't, but often they do. Let's dig into the use of the tone knob, including why it works the way it does and why we use it. So what is the purpose and proper use of a tone knob on the guitar? To put it simply, the tone knob's purpose is to change the way your guitar sounds. The proper use of it is up to the player and depends on what you want from your guitar sound. It can be used to reduce high frequencies, to tame any harshness or take them away more drastically to get more of a mellow jazz tone or even like a simplified Slash Guns N' Roses sound. If you ever listen to their stuff, you'll know what I mean. The most basic form is a single knob that goes from 0 to 10, but there can be more sophisticated versions, including those that can alter your bass and treble content of the signal from the guitar. Electroacoustic guitars typically have even more control with the bass, middle, and treble dials, and even through to microphone modeling simulators that give more of a natural sounding signal. Let's start with the basic single knob version first. Right, so how does a single tone knob work? Simply put, the tone knob changes the resistance in the guitar circuit and starts to introduce the influence from a capacitor to send some of the signal to ground, i.e. to the earth, to nothing. It's getting rid of it. A capacitor has the function to change the frequency response or the types of frequency that will pass through that circuit or to ground, essentially how sound is affected when put through an electrical acoustic system of a circuit, i.e. the way the sound is changed when your guitar signal passes through it. Capacitors have the potential to affect the audio signal depending on the capacitance and where they are in the circuit. Changing the capacitor will change the function of the tone knob and especially how effective the tone knob is throughout its range. Generally, as the tone knob value increases, the less influence the capacitor has on the signal. The lower the number on the tone knob, the lower the cutoff frequency of the low-pass filter is apparent. I'd love to hear in the comments if you either didn't know what a tone knob actually did, and if you thought something as simple as a capacitor was making such a difference to the sound. So I mentioned low-pass filter before, so let's go through what a low-pass filter is. A low-pass filter is one of the simplest audio filters there is. So basically it changes the sound content going through it by filtering out part of that sound in frequency. The name gives you a clue, doesn't it? It basically allows the low frequency signal through the low pass element, so it passes the low element, and stops the high frequency sound or removes it from the signal. The image here shows a low-pass filter represented as a graphic equalizer, or an EQ. You can see that the high frequencies are being attenuated by the graphic equalizer, i.e. they're being pulled away, that's the amplitude dropping, simulating a low-pass filter. The frequency at which the high frequency content is stopped in the signal by the filter is called the cutoff frequency. In a guitar circuit, the tone knob and capacitor influence the cutoff frequency. This is essentially the frequency at which the higher frequency audio signal is sent to ground and removed from that which you sent to your guitar output jack. Typically the range of a tone knob will go from 0 to 10. 10 has the minimum influence on the tone, i.e. the full audio signal passes through, and 0 has the maximum, most effect on the signal. Let's start with the basic electric guitar circuit. One of the simplest guitar circuits is that of the glorious Fender Telecaster, using 2 single coil pickups, a 3-way switch, and a single volume and tone knob. This image here shows the Fender Telecaster circuit. The pickup signal is essentially a voltage and a current source. Think back to high school physics and all those sorts of things in electronics. The tone and volume knobs are the key resistive elements. You can get different values for these, but the most common is at 250 kiloohms and 500 kiloohms. Don't worry if it's getting too complicated, you can remember these two numbers quite easily, 250 and 500. The tone and volume knobs are used to vary the electrical resistance in the circuit. The knobs are what you would describe as variable resistors, so as you turn them through the values, they change the resistance of that element in the circuit, or they call it a potentiometer sometimes. The resistance of the potentiometer is increased when the potentiometer is turned clockwise, or from 0 to 10. The tone knob then works with the capacitor to remove high frequency signal from the chain at the user's discretion, so the lower the number, the more that's sent to ground. The resistance of the tone knob doesn't really change with frequency, but the capacitor's resistance, or impedance sometimes it's known, does, and it's influenced by both the signal frequency and the capacitor value. This is the equation here that shows the relationship between all these elements. Basically, the higher the tone knob resistance towards 10, the less high frequencies go to ground, and the pickup signal is maintained, and basically it passes to the output socket. This is because electricity prefers the path of least resistance, so it will always flow that way. This image shows the frequency content of the signal out for tone setting 10. So you can see here where the chart at the bottom, the frequency of the signal that is allowed to go to the output socket when the number changes. This next image shows the frequency content of the signal out for the tone setting 5, which is in the middle, and you can see that there's a slight change where the frequency content starts to drop off at the high end. This image shows the frequency content of the signal out for tone setting 0. You can see that the high frequency drops off when the tone number is lower. I mean, that's all well and good, but how does the type of capacitor influence the tone knob function? Basically, the capacitor resistance is decreased if the capacitance or frequency of the signal passing through increases. The physical nature of capacitors mean that the high frequencies are less influenced by resistance of a capacitor when compared to low frequencies. So one way we can change the frequency response of the tone knob is by changing the value or capacitance of the tone capacitor. A higher value tone knob capacitor equals a lower cutoff frequency of the low pass filter. You can use any capacitor you want, but the most common capacitance types going from the highest cutoff frequency to the lowest are 0.047 microfarads, 0.033 microfarads, 0.022 microfarads, and 0.01 microfarads. So we've explained how the knob actually works. So what are the potential uses, and why do we even have a tone knob on the guitar? In terms of potential use of the guitar tone knob, this is really up to the player. It's generally used to remove harshness from the guitar sound or the top end. You can use it for more artistic effects, such as more mellow jazz type sound, or even more drastic effects, such as a combination with a fuzz pedal to get that kind of really dark sound. If you have a slightly harsh sounding guitar, just try putting your tone knob on the 8 setting, or kind of near to the top, and you should hear it mellow out a bit, and it might give you a better tone and less scratchy and raw sounding. I use this technique if I'm using a slightly harsh amplifier, especially on the clean channel. You can also push this further and take the tone setting to 5. You really get a mellow jazz sound. I'm going to play through a few examples now just to show you the different variations in the tone sounds. Nothing too involved, nothing too detailed, just to give you an idea of the differences in sound. There's one thing I wanted to mention just before I do start the demo is I've purchased these tree picks. I don't know if you can see them. I'll do some close-up footage now to put on. They're wooden picks, and it's worth checking it out. This is treepicks.com. Not sponsored in any way. I've got the guy coming on for a chat very soon on the Fret Success Guitar Show, so that'll be exciting to talk. And basically the premise behind it is that they plant a tree for every time you buy a plectrum, and I'm using this in the demo, and I'm really impressed with these plectrums. I was a bit skeptical as I thought they would wear down quite quickly. And they do show a couple of marks and stuff with a bit of use, but they're really quite hard, and I quite like the fact that they don't have that plastic kind of clicky sound. It really, I don't know, it's a sound I've always been trying to find really, and it was amazing just by changing the pick. And I mean, I was always going towards these kind of grippy plectrums with dots on them. I think they're like cat tongue ones, and they were my favorite to go to, kind of 0.7 mil. But these wooden ones, various different woods, various different sounds. The biggest difference I've found is definitely on the acoustic guitar, just making that kind of mellow, earthy sound, not giving you that kind of clicky thing that often, especially when recording, it takes over the sound of the guitar quite a lot. So you have to kind of balance the top end when you're EQing, which can be a bit of a pain. So having these picks, it really is quite a revelation. So I hope you can tune in and watch that episode as well. So let's dig into the demo now and play through the tone settings on the guitar. So we'll start here at the full kind of 10 range here. So you can really hear this nice and bright sounding. It's really clean, everything's coming through, and that's just because that capacitor is doing nothing. It's sending nothing to ground. So let's turn it all the way the other end so you can actually hear, maybe you heard that go right the way up from, because there's a bit of a buzz on my guitar, just all the lights and stuff are causing it to buzz like hell. So you can hear it when I drop it off, and then when I strum the same chords, you just lose all that clarity and you just get all of that kind of low and mid sound. So there's not a huge amount of use for that setting I ever find. Maybe on like a fuzz thing where you've got a lot of high energy sound in the guitar amp itself, but never really do I turn it all the way off. You can just tell when I put the sound right back on full tone, you can really hear that kind of clarity comes singing back. So let's play it in the middle a bit. We just kind of back that off. So we've got the middle, which is what. And what that does is it really takes the top end just down a bit and gives it a bit more of a mellow sound. So let's just take that back up to the top, and I'll just turn the tone knob down playing open E. So you can hear there's loads of artistic effects you can get away with just by tuning that tone knob. I find it's quite useful just for adjusting the tone slightly, because having the full pickup going straight out to an amp often is too much high frequency, too much brightness. And rather than twiddling with your guitar amp and trying to get the tone right, just backing off the tone knob just a little bit can actually help you so much getting the sound that you want and making it more mellow. Because I find that too much top end in the guitar makes it sound a bit cheap, kind of nasty and kind of grating to the listener. So it's good to back that tone off and just mute some of those really present frequencies. And a tone knob's a great way of doing that. So I hope that's been useful. Don't forget to comment below and let me know your favorite uses of the tone knob. Likes are really helpful in getting my content to others, and it really helps me out. So if you can please like and share where you can, that'd be really amazing. I hope you can subscribe and tune into my channel regularly for gear demos, guitar lessons and industry interviews and all sorts of things about guitar. And if you want any content, anything covering, any lessons, anything, please drop me an email at learn@fretsuccess.com. Put anything in the comments. I'm trying to create a community here, so it's great to see that actually building. There's a lot of people getting involved now, so I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.